I've done my homework. I've talked to people. I've watched videos. I've procrastinated. I drank more Janka. I did more homework. I talked to even more people. I talked to people at VCF East. I talked to people online. I've done all the videos. I've watched all the stuff. It's finally time. Hello everyone, I'm Alan Gracia, and today is the day we're going to recap this Mac Classic motherboard. Okay, as I said in the intro, there's no more time for delay. There's no more stalling. There's no more procrastinating. It's time to recap this Mac Classic system board. Okay, the first thing I want to do is we've got to replace these 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 caps. I've gone ahead and purchased a cap kit, so we're all set there. But the first thing I want to do is get in here with some isopropyl alcohol. We'll scrub this down a little bit, see how what's going on with these traces. There's lots of gunk in here. So let's take a look at that, and then we'll get to some flush cutters. There's lots of controversial ways to get caps off. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then let's get these caps off and see if we can clean the board up. So let's get started. I probably should get one of those cute squeeze bottles that folks use, like the Big Bad Biologist or Adrian over at Adrian Black. But I'm just going to dump a little bit on the board. That should be fine. I'll get in here with a toothbrush. Now everyone says use an old toothbrush. This happens to be a brand new toothbrush. Yeah. Do a little scrubbing. Honestly, this board doesn't look like it's in terrible shape. I'm not really one to really assess that. As you might know from my most recent videos, I am still pretty new at all this, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing. But that's what makes it fun, and why maybe I had a cup of Janka this morning. A little more on there. Definitely put one of those little squeeze bottles on my shopping list for Amazon or something in the near future. Oh, look at that! It took the barcode right off of it. So you definitely want to be careful of that. We said here, it's taking the barcode right off the board. Whoops. Was not expecting that. So let's just carefully do that. That kind of stinks. And let's see if we put a little Scotch tape to the rescue here and at least preserve some of the rest of it. Maybe it'll all come off at this point. But we'll see if we can at least save the barcode with some tape. Probably should use painter's tape, but red old green tape is what I got here on the desk. Okay, back to scrubbing. Right. Well, aside from being wet and have a little bit of cotton bud residue on here, I don't think this looks really all that bad. So, yeah, I was kind of worried about these traces right here. They look a little, they don't look as shiny as the others, but that may be okay. Okay. Okay, with the board cleaned up a little bit, we can take a look at these caps that we're going to replace here. There's 4 here right next to the power receptacle, and then 4 more over on the right-hand side as I'm looking at the board. And these surface mount caps are electrolytics, which is why they're leaking and why we need to replace them. And so an important safety tip is there is a polarity on these things, right? So the side of these surface mount caps, these electrolytics, with the black stripe, is the negative side. And then actually on the motherboard, if you look at the connector, you can see here that there is a plus indicating the positive side. So this is the positive side, this is the negative side. Now, the kit that I purchased comes with tantalum caps, so those are different. There is a stripe and a little notch out corner, and those are the positive side. So where the indicator, the stripe indicator on these electrolytic caps is basically on the left-hand side as I'm sitting in front of the board here. When the replacement caps go in, those tantalum are going to have the stripe on the positive side. So that's an important safety tip. We'll deal with that in a little bit. And if we take a look over here, we see the same thing. The negative side of these caps is facing to the left. My left is facing away this way. Is this electrolytic cap here. And then there's one here on the far right side of the board. The negative lead of the negative stripe is pointing up towards the battery connector. So that is a change. We got to make sure we put that replacement cap on in the correct orientation. So without further ado, it's time to go ahead and take off these caps. Now, like I said in the intro, I did watch a bunch of videos. I've talked to folks. There's all sorts of techniques and methods for replacing caps on the motherboard. Some folks just like to get in with some pliers, twist and rip them off. Sometimes you can just rock them left to right, up and down. They'll come off depending on the level of damage to the board. These looking pretty good, and these don't seem to be wiggling, so I don't think there's all that much damage going on here. So I'm not going to use the sort of press and twist technique. The other technique that's pretty popular is the hot air technique, so a hot air rework station. The problem with that is, A, I'm inexperienced, and B, there's lots of plastic around here, specifically when we're talking about these caps here. I don't want to damage the receptacle here for power at all, so I'm concerned about that. Also, on these two caps here, I'm worried about getting in here with the hot air rework station because I do not want to melt these plastic reset and developer buttons here. This set over here, these two caps here, these would be okay for hot air rework because there's really no plastics to melt. You just want to make sure you don't really overheat the board and scorch it. Which brings me to the last sort of technique that folks use. Again, this could be controversial, which is just getting in here with some snips, flush cutters, and just basically cutting the cap right here. Becoming like this. And cut the cap. Basically, we'll take the top half of the cap off, or the top 2/3 of the cap off. Then we'll get in here with the cap cut off. We can pull off the rest of the base, get that plastic sort of out of there, and then once the cap is gone and the plastic base is gone, you come in with a soldering iron and some soldering wick, and you can just clean up the legs that are left behind, and then get the plastic and the legs and everything cleaned out. Use a solder wick to get down to the solder pads, make them nice and clean, and you can come in with a fresh dab of solder, which will allow you to then come in with some fresh solder, and then you drop in your new capacitor and solder it into place. So that's the method I think that I'm going to use for this first recapping, just to see how this goes. And like I said, you can tell the first cut is always the hardest, and I've been procrastinating a little too much. So I'm just going to make sure we have both camera angles configured as best we could, and then I think I'm going to go for these two capacitors right up here first. Okay, got my flush cutters. The cameras are repositioned. Hopefully you're getting a good shot of this. So we're going to take a look at these caps right here. I'm going to go for these two right here first. And I've already taken a picture of the board before I started with my iPhone, so I have a good clear photo that we can zoom in of the caps that are on this board. So let's take a quick look. These are 47 microfarad 16 volt caps. This is position C2. And here we go. The first cut is always the hardest. And the cap just got launched across my desk. I have no idea where that just went. All right, get the bits out of there. take off the plastic base if I can get in there. Probably should get some pliers instead of just the cutters. Okay, so there's the legs of the caps. They're looking a little grimy there, not too bad overall. Let's get the rest of these plastic out of here. Going to go ahead and just get my tweezers out so I can clean that up properly. Yeah, maybe I can do it with my tool here. Yeah, there we go. All right, first one's out. Let's go ahead and cut out the second one. A little easier this time. And oops. Okay, got across my desk. Not as bad this time. I'll have to go check over by my Mac Studio, which is over there, to find out what happened to the rest of that cap. Oh, all right. And go ahead and sort of pick at this, see if we can get the rest of this out of here. Yeah, I'm definitely going to want to get a little spatula or spudger or something I can get in here and really kind of lift out. There we go. Okay. So those are out. All right. Well, like I said, the first cut's the hardest, and the first two were done. It's a little grody. You definitely see that it's been leaking under here, but I think this board is still 100% safe. So let's go ahead and get some more alcohol in here. Let's scrub, and I'll get some extra tools, and I'll be right back. All right, I did find that top of the cap. It did launch all the way over at my desk there, over by the Mac Studio. So no Mac was harmed in making this video and getting these caps out of here. Well, I guess this classic board was only slightly harmed, but let's face it, this is the patient that we're in here to work on. Okay, so I've got little scraping spatula, what have you, from my Fix-It toolkit. Again, this is not a paid sponsor for any of these companies. Get in here with a little bit more isopropyl alcohol, just see how this is going. Does not look terrible. All right. Okay, well, my soldering iron is heating up right off camera over here. We got over here. Anyway, it's off camera. Gone ahead and got some extra tools. Gonna get my desoldering braid or desoldering wick, as the case may be. Obviously, flush cutters. And then we're gonna go ahead and get these legs off of here. So, grab a soldering iron. Grab my tweezers. Let's see what we can do here. Oh yeah, and on these videos you watch, and they talk about that great smell, and wow, yeah, I can now attest that it smells like fish. Yeah, yikes. I'm more of a turf than a surf kind of guy, so yeah, not yeah, there we go. So gone ahead and got those legs of the caps off the board. You can see the pads there. We'll add some fresh solder to that in a minute. We'll just heat that up a little bit. Get in there. Go ahead and get some fresh solder so we can put in there. Excuse me while I go into my box of tricks. Is it really a box of tricks? I don't know. It's maybe a box of solder. This one looks like it's about ready to come off. Let's get in there. Yep, there. There it goes. Leveling off, and then let's just get this last one. I'm having some trouble getting the solder to melt. I don't know why, but I keep thinking that maybe I should be cleaning my tip. There we go. All right, so all 4 legs are off. Go ahead and clean my tip a little bit. Grab my mesh right here. Sorry, you guys can see that. Clean my tip. Okay. Get in there with a little bit of solder braid and see if we can't get this up a little. Just using a little bit of pressure with the solder braid. Just kind of pushing it around with the tip of the soldering iron. Okay, and I think we might have a first sign of trouble here. This C1 pad are looking pretty gross. I don't want to pick at it too much because I think that might be some pad damage there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just flood that with some solder. And see if that doesn't clean up a little bit. Yeah, I'm thinking we might have some problems with this C1, C2 pad here. Yeah, I think that pad is gone. That is not looking good at all. Yeah, that pad looks like it's gone. I'm not really sure what to do with that now. Um, to be honest. But that's why it's important to recap your Macs, folks, because that is going to be a problem. We just try to see if we have, just on the off chance I can flood some solder in there, and maybe we can make a makeshift something. I don't know. Definitely gonna need to reach out to some folks who know better than I do to see if, yeah, this is not even just. You see how this just melts and you get a nice shiny little blob of solder in there? This one is not doing it because there's no pad there anymore. That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate indeed. Okay. Leave my tip. All right, let's move on. See what other kind of we're in here today. All right, we're gonna do the next two caps. The C4 and C3 location. The C3 location is a looks like a 50 volt 1 microfarad. I'm really not sure what that is. I'll have to double check the directions. Maybe I'll skip that one for just a moment, and we'll go for the C4 location. Go ahead and snip that cap off. Okay, that one's much cleaner to get off. We don't have any caps flying like like we did before. And we'll get that base off. Back over there. Chasing little plastic bits around the board. That must be exciting content. All right, it's looking kind of crusty in there as well. Let's get in there with some more solder and heat. Let's see what we can do. All right, that leg came off. And let's put some more solder on the other leg. And that leg is off. All right, let's see what we can do with this C4 pad here. More solder braid. Clean. Oh, that one cleaned up really nice. a C4. Looks like it cleaned up really nice. Cleaned off my tip. I'll wet it a little bit. Okay. And we'll get some fresh solder on there. Okay, that looks pretty good, I would say. All right, and so taking a quick look at this other cap here that we need to get out. Let me get rid of my iron so I don't burn anybody, or myself, more importantly. So taking a look at this cap, if I look at the others, again, I do not take my word here. I am not a professional here. This is 4716 volt. So if I use that same methodology here, this is a 1 microfarad, 50 volt. I don't know. It's the small cap that's sitting at C3. So let's get C3 out of here. Take it easy, not to shoot the cap flying across the desk. Right, get over there. And, get in there with the spatula. Back in there with flush cutters and see if we can just sort of get that piece out of there. There we go. Okay. Now the rest of the plastic. Okay. All right. Yeah, this one's not looking too bad either. So we'll get soldering iron, fresh solder. Oops. Don't solder the iPhone, that would be bad. A little fresh solder in there. A little cotton bud residue in there, get that out of there. Get the leg out. There it is. Get that other leg out. There it goes. All right, the negative pad on that C3 location is not looking great. So let's get back in there with some soldering braid. See if we can clean that up a little bit and see what's going on. think there's just enough of the pad left on the negative side of C3 that we can probably get in here with some solder, flood that a little bit, and hopefully we can get continuity. We put the cap back on, so let's go ahead and add some fresh solder there. Fresh solder there. Okay. All things considered, I think we're still doing pretty good. Okay, first 4 caps are off. Looks like we have that one damaged solder pad there. Not quite sure what we're going to do with that yet. And let's see if I can reposition the board here. And this in frame. Move the junk out of the way on the workspace here. Okay, so that leaves us with the remaining 4 electrolytic caps, the 47 microfarad 16 volt caps. We're going to cut those out the same way we did the other 4. So we'll just start here with C9. Come in with the flush cutters. Again, there's all sorts of ways to do this. This is just the one that I'm going to try on my first go around. Carefully get that out. Hopefully, yep, there we go. We didn't send that one flying across the desk. That's good. Come back in with the flush cutters to get that piece off. And then this plastic piece here, which kind of just crumbles and comes right out. Get in here with a spatula. And then we'll use tweezers to get this out of there. All right, again, crusty. Kind of disgusting, but I don't think we're in too much trouble. Let's come in with the soldering iron and get those out of there. Do want to be careful around that plastic base there for the power cord that I do not damage it. So I apologize in advance if this gets turned around and it becomes hard to see. Get the solder ball out of there. Get the rest of the leg out of there. Unfortunately, I have to flip this around a little bit so I can see the other side. Let's not burn myself with the soldering iron. How are we doing in camera? Let's see here. So we're working over here. Yeah, I think you can see I'll pull this back just a little bit here. Okay. And get this leg out of here. So we're going to add a little fresh solder to that. Just want to remind everybody, this is my first attempt at doing this. So if you're screaming at the monitor saying I'm doing it wrong, yeah, I probably am. Unfortunately, we all got to start somewhere, and this is where I'm starting. Clean the tip. Get that fuzz out of there. All right, let's come in with some desoldering braid. See if we can clean that up a little bit. Again, I'm just kind of letting the iron do the work, and then just scrubbing back and forth with the solder wick. And we can see those pads looking pretty shiny. So they are likely okay. A little bit of scrubbing over here. Just clean that out a little bit. Yeah, it's looking okay. That's looking okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is the C8 47 microfarad 16 volt cap. Again, just cut it off. That looks a little juicy on there. Oops. Ooh. Sending caps flying here on the desk. And kind of lever that piece out of there. Get that plastic collar out. There it goes. Part of it just crumbles away. Okay. Let's come back in with the iron, add some fresh solder. Heat up those legs and get them out of there. And we'll come in on the other side. Again, being careful of the plastic power connector. Clean off the tip again. This one's looking a little worse for the wear, but not too bad. Let's get in here with some solder wick. See how things are going. Let's get in here with a bit of cotton bud with some isopropanol. Let's take a look at things in here. Get in there with the toothbrush a little bit. Not too bad. I think everything, that's going to be the word for the day. Everything's not too bad. Mostly because I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, this one looks like it's going to just come right off. So I was talking about the various techniques that you could use. This one kind of just came off. The solder pads are looking pretty disgusting. Let's get in here with the iron and some braid and see how bad this looks like the C6, C9 looks kind of upside down. So a little bit of hissing here while I'm trying to clean this off. Pads are not looking too good at all. This is the spot that looked the worst, even while I was just doing a visual inspection of the board in the last video. We were just taking a look at things and seeing how bad the damage was. Taking a look at that analog board. But these are looking pretty bad. Get in here with a toothbrush a little bit. It's cleaned up a little bit. It's looking like it's cleaned up a little bit. All right, I take it back. That's looking better. All right, the last electrolytic cap is the 5 position. Again, this is a 47 microfarad, 16-volt cap going with the cut technique. Just cutting my way through that. This one is not as bad as the other one was. It did not just kind of fall off. Get that out of there. Go and get the rest of this. There it is. Come on. It's always the last one that's going to give you trouble, right? Isn't that how it goes? The others, first ones always come off, but maybe it's the first one that's the hardest. I don't know. I don't want to pry too hard. I don't want to rip the pads off the. There, this is kind of just crumbling now. And I can just get that out of there, like get in there, grab it with my fingers. All right, we're doing a thing. I mean, the carnage here is. Let me just move the camera back a little bit. Yeah, there you go. You can see the the mess of stuff we've got going on here. We are definitely doing a thing. All right, just reposition things and let's just get all that junk out of the way. Ugh, we'll need these screws later at some point. But not for a while yet. It's going to be quite a while to get this Mac put back together. All right, so what do we got here? We've got 2 more legs we need to get out of there. And so we'll, as we did with the other 7, we'll come in here with some fresh solder. Well, that wasn't even taking that. Kind of just balled up. Okay. That last leg, let's see if we can just heat it up and get it out of there. Again, I don't want to just go in and rip at it. Just flip the board around so I can see a little better. on this C5. Let's pull this down a little bit more so you can see. Working on C5. All right. Untangle my solder here. All right. Still got a piece of gunk in there from before. Right, that was a little tricky, but did manage to get it off. Let's clean off my tip. That back over here. Okay, just scrubbing these things down a little bit. Hey, watch out for these programmer keys. You can't see them off camera here. These two guys right here, I was just scrubbing and yeah, stabbed my finger. So yeah, it's a real thing now. I'm bleeding a little bit, and that's fantastic. It's okay. I think I'm gonna live. All right, so taking stock of what we got here. All the caps are off the board at this point, all 8 of them. They were 47 microfarads, 16 volts, and what appeared to be, and I will have to double check the documentation, 1 microfarad, 50 volt. Not really sure. That was that small cap here at the C3 location on the board. That was right over here, C3, right here. So we've got the 4 caps off here, and the 4 caps up in the corner are off. That C2 cap, unfortunately, looks like that one of the solder pads is, in fact, gone. That's not great news. It looks like it's the, not really sure. Looks like it might be the plus side of that capacitor. So I'm not really sure what we're going to do about that. I'll have to check with some folks who are smarter than I am about this stuff and see what we can do with that. All right, so let's keep going. We got a little bit more to do. Let's see if we can clean up the pads here a little bit and apply some fresh solder, and we'll get ready for applying the tantalum caps. All right, that C5 location looks like it's cleaned up decent. I'm not feeling super great about C6, but the pads are still there. And as we said, C9 and C8 are looking okay-ish, I guess. Let's see if we can get some fresh solder in here. These pads looking shiny again. All right, I'm not having a lot of luck with this C6 location. I think we might have a second pad that's pretty not okay. I'm just basically getting a solder ball, which is not what we want. Because if there was part of the pad there, I'm pretty sure the solder would stick. And it is definitely not sticking right now. Okay, let's try adding some fresh solder to C5. That was much better than C6. Got a little bit of solder to stick on C6. Can I flip? That might be enough to get the electrolytic, excuse me, get the tantalum capacitor in there. There might be just enough of that pad there. And clean up my mess. Because we don't want solder balls floating around in here. All right, let's take a look at see what we got. We've got the C1 position looking not too bad. But oh geez, man, C2 is looking like it's in serious trouble. There should be a solder pad right here, and there is not. It's just a gross mess, and where the solder pad used to be. So yeah, I'll have to, like I said, check with some folks and see what their advice is for cleaning up that pad. So a little disappointing. I was hoping that we'd be able to get all of this cleaned up in one sitting, but it looks like for everybody else, there's going to be a second video for this, where we go ahead and actually repair this pad and try to get the tantalum caps on the board and work our way towards getting this Mac up and working. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode, where we've gone ahead and gotten this Mac Classic motherboard, the system board. We've removed this caps. We've done some scraping. We've done some analysis, and yeah, so this is going to be a little bit of trouble with these caps that are missing. So the good news is, so much junk on my desk there, I lost them. I do have the cap kits for the Classic. So I've got the analog board, which we'll have to get to in a bit. But I also have the electrolytic capacitor kit and the tantalum kit to repair this motherboard. So what we'll do for the next one is I just need to do a little more research on how to repair these pads, and then we'll get these caps. I'll probably put the tantalums back on. We'll get the tantalums on here, and we'll get this board at least put back together. We'll give it a soak. We'll give it a clean up, and hopefully that'll get this board back in good condition. So stay safe. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube comments down below. You got the whole thing. You know what to do. And don't forget to hit that bell. Until next time, thank you for watching.